Good morning. My name is Donna Marie Collins. I'm the hearing examiner that will be presiding over this morning's hearing, which is a special exception application on property in North Fort Myers. All testimony and evidence I accept during these hearings must be taken in under oath. So I'll administer the oath to everyone in the room that intends to speak at the conclusion of my remarks. Just a little overview of the way the hearing will go. The applicant's representative will present the case. They will explain their request and why it is consistent with the county's land development regulations. At the conclusion of their presentation, the county planner who prepared the staff report in this case will make a presentation. County staff, after reviewing the application, is recommending approval to me, subject to conditions. At the conclusion of their presentation, I will open up the floor to members of the public who wish to be heard. If you intend to speak on the record, I ask that you please take a moment and fill out the public participation form in the bin next to the side door here. I will call people by name, one at a time. When you come to the podium, please state your name and where you live or work in relationship to the property. And then you may share your concerns with me. I find that oftentimes people aren't totally opposed or totally in favor of a change that's presented, but they have very specific concerns. I urge you to share those concerns with me so that we can perhaps address them through more detailed explanation or through conditioning. Special exception requests are final with the hearing examiner. There'll be no subsequent hearing after today. I will release my decision within a week to 10 days. All those who intend to speak on the record, I ask that you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony and evidence you give in this hearing will be the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. I'm ready to begin.
Hearing examiner, if I so kindly want to interrupt, this case was publicly advertised, and this is the affidavit of publication for you to be put on the.
Okay, thank you. I will mark that as Staff Exhibit 2. Staff Exhibit 1 was the staff report.
Probably beyond.
Would you like the public?
Yeah, you can put them right there. Thank you.
Can I go ahead and give you my exhibits?
Yes, please. These are applicant exhibits. What do we have here?
8.5 by 11 of the master concept plan. Just another version of the master concept plan. Aerial photo. 11 by 17 of the master concept plan for my presentation.
Okay, so I'm going to mark your PowerPoint as applicant exhibit 1. Just give me a minute here.
For simplicity, if you don't need all those different sizes, I can take.
No, they are helpful to us. This is the aerial. Applicant exhibit 2. Three is a composite. Now, is this an updated master concept plan or site plan, or is this the same one that's in the staff report?
It's the same one that's in the staff report.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Me first? Thanks very much, Pete Mostrick Engineering, here for the applicant. What we're requesting today is a it's a special exception request. The address of the property is 2521 North Tamiami Trail, also owned by 2521 North Tamiami Trail LLC. The existing use, it was recently constructed as a boat and RV storage facility. It opened the beginning of the year. There was a development order issued along with several other permits, South Florida Water Management District, as well as a special exception that was approved in 2021 to allow open storage in a C1 zoning district as required in North Fort Myers Chapter 33 requirements. We're here today simply for an addendum to that special exception request. The original special exception request allowed for open storage of boats and RVs or / large vehicles. In this case, we're just looking to expand a little bit on what types of items that we can store on this property. In addition to boats and RVs, we'll go into it a little bit later, but we're looking to expand the specific description of different additional items other than just boat and RV storage. We believe that the proposed special exception request is consistent with the goals, objective, policies, intent of the LEED plan. We believe it will protect, conserve, or preserve environmental critical areas and sensitive areas and natural resources where applicable. In this case, once again, this property has already been developed. It's constructed, certified, complete. We have an in-place surface water management system as well as a 3-acre plus or minus indigenous preserve, which has been, for the most part, eradicated with the exotics vegetation, and also there's been quite a bit of supplemental plantings that were put in the indigenous preserve. We're continuing to provide exotic removal through the use of sprays and other methods. We don't believe this proposed special exception request will be injurious to the neighborhood or detrimental to the public welfare, and we believe it'll be in compliance with the zoning regulations pertaining to the use and other applicable regulations. Again, similar to not a whole lot's changed since the original special exception. As far as the adjacent properties, this property fronts Tamiami Trail. There is a small motel to the northeast of the property. There's also another vacant property to the northwest, which is zoned C2, I believe. That property I'll discuss a little bit later, but that property was cleared recently. I don't know if the owner actually
Can
had.
you point to where you're talking about?
yeah.
Because where's the motel?
This is the motel to the
Okay.
northeast of the property, and this is the property zone C2.
And that's the parcel that's recently been cleared?
It was cleared about a year ago. It's owned by another entity altogether, and it might be a subject of, I think the folks that are here have some concerns about that property. As I go into, I'll elaborate a little bit later, but that property is not owned by this property owner. It's not part of this request, and there's no physical connection to our property and that property.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, for the most part, the surrounding uses are light industrial type uses, boat and RV storage facilities, and that's all listed here. We believe that the proposed special exception is consistent with the surrounding uses. I'm not going to get too much into this here, but there are public utilities available. However, we haven't been, nor are we proposing to use any of the public utilities. We don't need water, wastewater. We don't have any buildings on the property.
So there's no office?
No.
Okay.
There's no office. There's no bathrooms, office, nothing. It's strictly a just boat and RV storage, and it's accessed through your phone by an app.
Okay.
Currently, there is a trailer out there being utilized for a temporary office.
Yeah, I'm thinking that you're gonna need somebody to take people in and,
Not forever. The idea was simply to have somebody out there for the first year. And once it gets close to leased up, it's supposed to run by itself. The management company will handle that.
so no security or anything like that?
There are fences around, there are access codes, and there are cameras, lots of them. But there's not going to be anybody on site. Any case, Emergency services are available. The Lee-Tran Route 590, I think, goes right by this portion, this property. And the proposed use, the slight change in the types of items that we can store on the property is not projected to provide any additional traffic. The actual total area for storage isn't going to change. It's the same. We're not adding additional area, just simply expanding the list of items that we can store on the property.
Right, when are we going to talk about that?
We're getting there.
Okay.
So the property is located in the central urban future land use. And central urban obviously consists of residential, commercial, public, quasi-public, light industrial, mixed use. It's considered already heavily settled area with the highest level of urban services. The surrounding zoning, as we talked about just briefly earlier, we have an RM2 to the northeast and an RS1, I believe, which is a church. And the rest of it is C2 and operating actually closer to a light industrial type of use around most of the property. This particular property is located in the North Fort Myers planning community, which strives for a brighter future for the community and focusing on revitalizations along major corridors. Lead Plan Goal 28 cites the need for attracting appropriate investment along the corridors. As you can remember, this was an old drive-in movie theater that operated as a flea market for many years, and now it's been redeveloped to a boat and RV storage facility. Lead Plan Policy 28.2.7, the corridor overlay is looking for enhanced landscaping, greater buffering, shading, parking areas, improved commercial signage, enhanced standards to ensure architectural quality and compatibility. We have provided significant amount of buffering, landscaping, indigenous preserves, all in compliance with Land Development Code sections 34 and 33. Lead Plan Policy 28.2.8, improving older commercial properties. Again, this was operating as a flea market for quite some time, and there had been no improvements to the property in many decades. Again, as I talked about, here's the landscaping plan, indigenous preserves, buffering. We're proposing, well, not proposing, there already exists considerable buffering and landscaping that was provided in the original previous development order. The project is Zone C1. Again, we're required to come in for a special exception. We already have one. We're just, again, looking to expand the uses. Staff did recommend approval of our request. Again, we've addressed setbacks, which actually don't apply because we don't have any buildings in this case, but landscaping, we've got perimeter walls, or otherwise known as opaque fences, 6 foot high and 8 foot high, where applicable.
And these are already in place, correct?
Everything's already built. Everything's built. It was all inspected.
So the only thing that's changing is the items you're going to be storing.
That is correct. Yep. All the walls, fences, opaque fences, landscaping, indigenous preserve, stormwater system, everything's constructed and certified complete. All we're looking to do is add some additional, we're simply trying to broaden the list of items that we can store in the property.
When are we going to get to that?
We're getting there. I apologize. I thought I had included that in here.
That's the wrong property.
No, this is
That's not the one we're talking about. That's on
That's the one.
41.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Why you put that there, I don't know. This name has got nothing to do with that road.
Okay. As listed in the staff report, and I apologize, I probably should have put this in my presentation. But there's several companies that have approached us looking to get some land to store some of their construction equipment. There's a company, and I can't remember the name of it, but they're the company that's putting fiber optic all through and around Lee County. I know they're down in my neighborhood with spools of polyethylene pipe and fiber optic, and they're redoing the fiber optic all through Lee County. That's just one example. So
are these vehicles or?
it could be vehicles, and I'll go through the list here, and I'd be happy to provide later a separate list. But what we're looking for is listed pretty clearly in completely as to what we're looking for in the staff report. So those might include construction materials like power poles, spools of power line or power wire, pipes, spools of conduit, overhead power line materials and parts, other similar construction or contractor materials, construction equipment such as forklifts, cherry pickers, telehandlers, backhoes, mini excavators, and other similar construction equipment, and the storage of shipping containers, which technically, as I understand through staff, those are actually currently allowed, but we're just listing those as well. They're allowed under the current special exception. They weren't specifically listed, but staff did indicate to me that they are currently allowed. The containers are not going to be stacked. I know that the county frowns upon that, so we're not proposing that they be stacked. And then also the storage of modular or manufactured buildings. These will not be for display or sale. They'll simply be for storage. They'll be purchased on a site someplace else, and when that particular purchase takes place, the manufacturer will come pick one up and deliver it to where it needs to go. So that's a list of what we're looking to store on the property. And again, all these items are listed in this page 2 of the staff report.
I just need you to make the record because you're presenting.
Yes, I understand.
I'm sorry, we gotta leave. You're talking about the wrong area.
Okay,
No, that's not
That's
the right
fine.
area. That's not even close to our business.
okay, thank you. You can leave.
I mean, we're gonna have to have him do this right, because that's not even by our place.
All right,
That's on 41.
I'll put this aside.
All
Thanks
right,
for
thank
coming
you.
by.
Yeah, you're talking about the wrong area, but
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, you need to get over him and tell him you gotta do this right.
Did you need me to comment on that at all?
No,
Okay.
I got the gist that they were here regarding other property.
It is a
Took a
property.
while for it to,
Yes.
yeah.
It's a property that's very, very close to this property. However, you can't access our property from this property they were concerned about. It has nothing to do with our request or our property. So in any case, I'm done with my
All right, so there's a
presentation.
single access to the site right now. That's going
two.
to be made.
There's actually two.
Where's the second one? Because I missed that. I
Yeah.
did the site visit yesterday, and I,
There's, I can't remember, but Land Development Code has a requirement for any properties over 10 acres that are required, any large developments, I think over 10 and 2 acres, 2 acres impervious, 10 acres total, are required to have 2 entrances. I probably should have fought this a little bit during the last special exception in our development order, but we caved and we provided one.
you got a secondary emergency access.
Yeah, so right here at Pinto Road,
I see, okay.
there's a second access right here, and then the main access is over here.
So the keypad entrance is from 41.
Correct. Yeah, this gate is automatic with a keypad. That's manual with a lock. And I'm sure it has fire department's already reviewed and approved it, so I'm sure it has a Knox box on it.
Okay,
And again, the gist of this is we're simply looking to broaden the list of items that we can store on the property. That's it.
I understand, thank you.
Okay?
I'm ready for the staff presentation.
Thank you.
Good morning. I don't know if you want my exhibits first, but I am looking to be accepted as an expert witness.
Okay, state your name for the record.
Yes. My name is Brianna Schrader, and I'm a zoning technician with community development of the zoning section.
All right, then give me your exhibits, and then we'll talk about your background, and I can qualify you as an expert in the Land Development Code and the LEAP plan. And then you won't need to be qualified again after today's hearing.
Awesome. First one is my resume, and this
Okay.
letter was for the gentleman that they're representing. Do you still want the letter of, or?
Does it have to do with this property?
No.
Okay,
I just
I don't
wanna make
need that as
sure.
an exhibit, yeah.
Okay, this is my presentation, and then just something like that you can write on if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. So your PowerPoint presentation is Staff Exhibit 3. Your resume will be Staff Exhibit 4, and we will make sure that goes into our resume bank. Okay, Brianna, what I'd like you to do is take about 3 to 5 minutes and go over your experience working with the Land Development Code and the LEA Plan,
Okay.
how long you've been with the county, a little bit about your background, and then we can proceed.
Perfect. So in October of 2020, I started with community development in the permitting section. Then I did primarily work with intake and answering permitting inquiries when it comes down to anything with the Land Development Code. And then September of 2023, I transitioned to the zoning counter. And from then on, I primarily worked in the Land Development Code and the LEA Plan and assisted customers or the public with anything that they had questions on in regards to their property or potential properties that they wanted to purchase. I also took in several types of permitting or use permits. I then, in February of this year, I started my role as a technician for the zoning section, where I still primarily work in the Land Development Code and the LEA Plan. I assist the general public with any questions that they have. I do sufficiency reviews for zoning cases, create staff reports, resolutions, do research on several different previous zoning cases and permitting, development orders, stuff like that. So I'm always working in the Land Development Code and the LEA Plan.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the summary, Brianna. I will qualify you as an expert in the LEA Plan and the Land Development Code, and you may
Perfect.
proceed.
Awesome. All right, so starting off with the request and recommendation, Mastic Engineering has requested a special exception on behalf of the owner 2521 North Tamiami Trail, LLC, to amend the previously approved special exception, which is SEZ2024-00007. That previous special exception was to allow for RV and boat storage, but he is now broadening what can be stored there, and I have a list right here for you. The applicant's use is defined within LDC section 34-2 as open storage, and the materials that you see here, they do align with kind of uses like contractors and builders between like the 3 different group categories that we have pursuant to Land Development Code 34-622. Staff also wants to note that this is coming in as a special exception again because of the uses that he is now adding. It does intensify the open storage, so we wanted to present this here.
Right, I noticed that the prior special exception approval was limited to
Correct.
certain types of items, so this
Correct.
is expanding the scope.
Correct, yes. Moving on to the property information, the subject property is approximately 23 acres in area and is located to the west of North Tamiami Trail and north of Littleton Road. The property is zoned commercial, more specifically in the C1 zoning district, and is located in the central urban future land use category in accordance with the LEA Plan. The property is in the North Fort Myers planning community. It's more specifically within the designated commercial corridor due to the property having frontage along North Tamiami Trail, also known as Old 41. While LDC section 34-844 permits the open storage in the C1 zoning district, the commercial corridor established in LDC section 33-1596 supersedes 34-844, which only permits the open storage through special exception. As for the surrounding properties, as mentioned before, to the north, there are 2 different properties that have 2 different zoning, or within 2 different zoning districts, one within the C2 and one within RM2. The C2 currently has an active development order, as you see here, DOS 2023-00088 for open storage. Due to the property having frontage on the local and non-county maintained road, which I think it's Engel Place or Road, Engel Place, if I said that right, it does not need the special exception.
Pinto.
There's another road that's on there that leads to that, and then
This is,
this is for the northern property that they were here for.
this property fronts on the commercial
I
corridor,
apologize.
and there's heightened restrictions
Yes.
for development on the commercial corridor.
Okay.
Then the RM2 property does have an existing motel, and it has an approved use permit that is listed on here. To the east, it's predominantly commercial, with some mobile home parks abutting those commercial properties. Those properties are mostly developed, and they have currently commercial uses on it that range from contractors and builders groups 1 and 2, automobile and repair services, and they do have also open storage with an approved special exception. To the south and the west, we have mainly also commercial with the similar types of uses. So they're all also primarily developed, and we do have an RS1 zone lot with an active church through a special exception. Land Development Code, Section 34-145 establishes the review criteria for special exception request. The following slides will provide how the applicant has met the review criteria. Due to the current use already having gone through this sort of public hearing setting and has been approved, and it's just be an expansion of what can already be placed there, we won't go in depth on each lead plan policy unless you request it. However, staff would like to note that with the surrounding properties primarily being commercially zoned, with some being residentially zoned, broadening what can be stored at this property will positively serve the surrounding area, which meets lead plan policy 1.1.3. As stated before, no buildings are proposed in conjunction with the proposed expansion of the open storage use. The site has already been developed through an approved development order and will continue to remain designed with storage spaces only, with access regulated through the controlled access gate. Therefore, the Land Development Code and lead plan policy for publicly accessible and pedestrian-oriented design will not apply to this use. With the subject property already being developed and remaining in use, it will continue to stabilize and enhance the area. The applicant did hold a public information session meeting with the North Fort Myers community in compliance with LDC Section 33-1531. With the proposed expansion, continue to keep the site in compliance with the current buffering standards that are found under the original special exception, which is being carried over to this special exception and are in accordance with Land Development Code Section 33-1581. It will assure continuance of the appropriate screening to the surrounding properties, which meets the lead plan commercial land use goal 6, policy 6.1.6, and policy 6.1.11. Buffering and screening. LDC Section 33-1581 provides that most of the property requires a 5-foot wide Type A buffer, with an exception to the east, which requires a 20-foot wide Type D buffer due to the property abutting a arterial road. The screening must be at least 8 feet in height when visible from residential use or zoning district, and 6 feet when visible from a street right-of-way or street easement as set forth in LDC Section 34-3005. The subject property is currently in compliance and even exceeds some of these requirements by providing a 30-foot wide Type F buffer to the north for the RM2 zone property and utilizing the indigenous preserve for additional screening. Due to the property being more than 10 acres, it is considered a large project pursuant to LDC Section 10-1. Due to this, the project had to provide 30% of open space, with 15% being indigenous open space pursuant to LDC Section 10-415. The applicant has provided the code-required open space, and the site has been developed by the Development Order DOS 2021-00045 and is currently in operation. With the subject property being located within the North Fort Myers community plan areas and within the central urban future land use, it provides the highest levels of public services according to the LEED plan. Aside from transportation, the following information provided from the original special exception remains the same. The only thing changed from transportation is that access point to Pinto Lane. It is a local road and non-county maintained, and it was legitimized through that development order process. So that's where you have your 2 access points. The applicant has provided a traffic impact statement showing that the expansion of what's going to be stored is not going to have a significant impact on the surrounding roadway. Natural Resources staff has reviewed this case and provided that the parcel is located within 660 feet of a bald eagle nest. Land Development Code Section 14-119 requires development projects located within the 660-foot buffer zone of a bald eagle nest to obtain a Lee County BOCC approved bald eagle management plan. During the review of the original special exception, the applicant obtained a Lee County BOCC approved bald eagle management plan, and since the request is not substantially changing the site plan or the use, the previous approved BEMP may continue to be utilized, and the applicant must continue to comply with the previous approved bald eagle management plan. I didn't list all the conditions here because condition 2 is quite lengthy, but staff does want to note that the special exception is superseding the previous one. So we added condition 1 here.
This encompasses all the conditions from before plus the existing.
Correct.
And it's tying it to the new site plan.
Correct.
The updated site plan.
Correct. So, yes, with it already being in development, currently in operation, the applicant has already addressed these concerns, but we wanted to just move it forward to this one just to keep it consistent.
So no additional development order approval is going to be necessary. This is just, they can start rolling on these construction equipment, materials, and store it on there once this is approved.
That is correct.
Okay.
Can I comment on that? I believe we will likely need, I believe, an LDO.
For paving?
For some fencing, because I think we're going to take the back portion of this and break it up into, we don't know yet, but call it 4 to 5 to 6 storage areas for different entities to utilize.
Okay.
And
So they'll be separately secured by fencing?
Correct. And I spoke to Odette. She said that's a very simple LDO, but we would likely need an LDO for that fencing plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Right here is condition 2. To conclude today's presentation, staff finds that the request to broaden what can be stored at this location meets the requirements of LDC Section 34-145 and recommends approval of the request with the conditions provided. Staff is available for any questions if you have any.
I don't have any questions. Thank you very much. To the applicant's representative, I'm going to leave the record open to give you an opportunity to update your PowerPoint to refer to the proper LEED plan policies. The policies for North Fort Myers are Goal 30, under Goal 30, and I noticed that throughout you've cited goals and policies under 28, which is a different community planning area. So I'm going to give you an opportunity. We'll hang on to your PowerPoint. You can go through it and just give us a whole brand new one, and we'll mark that as the exhibit, the replacement exhibit.
Okay.
I have already done a site visit to the location. I probably will go back one more time before I issue my decision. I will leave the record open. Is 1 day sufficient for you to take care of that, or
Yeah.
do you need longer?
Give me 48 hours.
Okay, so
I'm pretty sure I could do it in 1 day.
okay, so why don't we say by end of business on Friday, the 13th? If you can get it to us by 4 o'clock on Friday,
Yeah, for sure.
the replacement exhibit.
Mhm.
All right, very good. And the sooner you get it to me, the sooner I can complete this, because I happen to be caught up right now.
Okay,
So
well,
as soon as this
you will
record
likely-
is complete, I can turn to this case.
okay, you will likely get it today.
Okay. And thank you, everyone, for coming.